Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Follow Suit, Fashion Unfiltered. Follow suit is a mantra, which means to follow the suit. And as you follow it, you're going to come to realize the suit is a role model and a mentor whose purpose is to give guidance to the young men of this community and as well as to society. And it is my goal to honor and salute some of the individuals who not only put on the suit, but they wear it well. Hence the point, my guest today. Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Follow Suit Fashion Unfiltered. Today's going to be a special edition because I'm here with two special guests that I'm honored to have on my show. I got Kacy and I also have Steven. And they're from the organization called Samaritans. And you know, with Follow Suit, we're about uplifting and taking care of our community. And their organization is now coming with a collaboration with Follow Suit to do just that type of work. So the show is called Follow Suit Fashion Unfiltered. So we're going to talk a little fashion, then we're going to get into the real spill of why we're here. So Kacy, you came dressed the part. I love the heels. Who inspired you with your fashion?
Oh, that's a great question. I guess my mom, a little bit. My mom really loved Princess Diana and all of her fashion looks. And so I think that I always think about her and think about what I want to wear based on things that are simple, easy, and comfortable.
Nice. Nice. I see you accessorize well.
Thank you very much. I mean, I had to show up for you because this is, what you do and do it well. So.
Thank you. Steve, we're going to work on you today. I got my special tailor over here, Gilbert, out of the camera that no one can see. And I know you had the tuxedo on last week.
I did.
At your sister's wedding.
I mean, I did a comfort thing today, but yeah, I do like a good tux, like dressing up, so it's good, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So who inspired you with your thing?
With like what I'm wearing today or my tux?
No, with your fashion sense.
I actually like the tux I had. It was I like old school,
Nice.
And what I mean by that is like 50s men's tuxes and everything else like that have like a sharpness to them and real clean. So I like old movie stars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clark Gable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. Even though you don't have one on, who taught you how to tie a tie?
My father taught me. My father taught me how to shave, taught me how to tie a tie. He was there to do that, and it was a big production, right? It was like, you are 12 years old. We got to get you tying the tie. You are, whatever. So, my father.
That's good. So, here at Follow Suit, part of the mentoring program that we do is about inspiring the young men to dress for success. And I was inspired by that when I bring a lot of guests up from the urban community. A lot of us, we had to have our mothers tie the tie because the father was absentee. So that's part of the driving force of what we're doing here at Follow Suit with the mentoring program. And so on that note, I had the pleasure of meeting Kacy at a conference that we was at, and we started talking, and she told me what she did, and I told her what I did, and we decided that we had a common bond. And it didn't hit me until she told me, because she works, your title.
I am the Chief Clinical Officer at Samaritans.
And Samaritans is?
Samaritans is a suicide prevention nonprofit organization. We've been around since 1974, so we're coming up on our 50th year of work. And we have sort of three core programs, right? We have our 24/7 helpline that reaches folks who are suicidal or in crisis. We have grief support services for folks who've lost loved ones to suicide. And then we also do community education and outreach where we talk about suicide prevention. And so that's where we connected, right? When we first met each other, and you told me a little bit more about Follow Suit.
Yes, and then when she came back, after I gave her the information about what I was doing with Follow Suit, she says to me, Anthony, you know what you're doing is you're preventing kids from committing suicide. And I had to think about it. And then it dawned on me. A kid in my neighborhood, if he decides to sell drugs, he's committing suicide. A kid in my neighborhood, if he decides to join a gang, he's committing suicide. If he decides to drop out of school, basically he's committing suicides. And then the big picture hit me. And I said, yes, we are doing some of the same work. And so with that, we networked and we got together and you introduced me to Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Steve had some data about the quiet, unwritten rule in the urban community amongst young black boys.
Yeah.
And it was astounding when I heard the numbers of the young men in my community who are committing suicide and no one's talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that was, really informed like my work as well as connecting with you was some this research. There's an individual named Dr. Sean Joe from Washington University in St. Louis who's been studying suicide in the Black community and knowing the rates of suicide, knowing the ideation, knowing the age that it can happen very young within the Black community, and that looks different from other communities. And it just was just shocking data. And I just, I said there's so much work to be done there. And so the connection was like, how can we help, right?
Right. And I was honored that y'all reached out to me and extended the olive branch to me to try to give some help and do what I can do and morph this thing together. So you said you have a curriculum.
Yeah. So, the work I do is at Samaritans. I'm the senior director of community education and outreach. So I work on, my team works on developing the education. So the prevention work to go out into schools, we go into high schools, we go into middle schools, colleges. We work with students as well as teachers and parents. And so we developed, it's a curriculum in a way, it really is. And it's developed to include the best practices around suicide prevention, developmentally appropriate for the different age groups. And so we knew that, because it's best practice, all research-based, we know that it works. And at the same time, does it work in every community? Does it work with every identity? Does it work with every different culture? And we want to make sure that we are kind of doing that work. So that was, again, part of this connection, was to share that work with you and to have you reflect on it, right? Does this match what the young people in your community will receive, right? So that's part of what we worked on together.
Right.
Is redeveloping it.
Right, because we said, as we had a couple of meetings and we was brainstorming
Right.
ideas, and
Yeah.
I remember I said to you, I said, the suicide look like me. Mm-hmm. Because that's in our community. If we talk about suicide, or to the younger people, the first thought in their mind probably won't be them looking at their brother or their classmate or their teammate or their cousin who's the same color as them. They'll think of a Caucasian kid.
Yeah.
When you say a teen suicide.
Right,
Right.
right.
And it's like you said, it's unspoken in our neighborhoods and in our community. And so I'm glad that y'all reached out, and we're trying to, you said y'all was willing to diversify and be more open and spread this message, and we're going to do this work together.
Right, yeah.
So how long have you been working at Samaritan, Kacy?
Oh, geez. Well, I've been in my role for 2 years, but I started as a helpline volunteer about 15 years ago. And even before that, I got involved in the organization because my dad was a volunteer in the helpline. So again, this idea of connections and fathers being present, I was really lucky to have a dad who did this type of work and wanted to do this type of work and used it with me, right? Like really inspired me to want to do this work for my career. And I think that, when we initially connected, when we think about this and we think about the collaboration, it's so much so about making sure that we're doing it in terms and in language that makes sense for everybody, right? Not for everybody, I should say, that makes sense individually in certain cultures, certain communities, et cetera, right? Which is why at that event we connected so deeply on that, because suicide prevention historically at Samaritans has looked like go to a school, do a workshop, do a training, and we exit. Right? We're sort of saying the same things, we're using the same words. And when you and I talked about what you do, right? Exactly what you said in the beginning, it's so much about the ways in which you connect with people, right? And we know that Black youth are dying younger and younger than any other age category, any other kid. And so this idea around what can we be doing that's different? Because it's not hitting that demographic.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, Steve, we brainstormed and had a couple of meetings, and we collaborated. And my man, he's off camera, but I'm gonna make sure he gets his shout out. Is Gilbert White? I said I got to bring Gilbert on board because he's a licensed educator, and the three of us collaborated, and we got the workshop. So we got a workshop coming up February 27th. It's going to be at the Roxbury Library in Nubian Square from 4:30 to 7:30. And we hope every young man that's around the age of 13 to 19 can come out and experience, get some information, and hopefully it could help somebody else along the way. And there's a thing that y'all have called Sam.
Oh,
how
Hey
you say it?
Sam. Yeah.
Hey Sam.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
that's it.
Hey Sam is a text line that was developed by teens for teens and is run by teens. So it's young people running this, and it's a text line of support. So if you're struggling, or even not struggling, just like you're overwhelmed, feeling a little emotional, and you don't know who to talk to, you can text this line, and you'll be talking to people your own age. So it's a
Right.
peer-to-peer model, which we know that sometimes teens don't want to hear from us, our age group, right? They want to turn to they hope a friend can be supportive. And so we have young people that have been trained in the same skills that our other helpline adults have been trained in. So they're really highly trained and they're there to support. So that's a new service we have.
Yes,
And it's,
And so part of the workshop that we're going to be doing, we're going to try to get some young men that look like us, that look like them. So when kids that look like them are texting, they can respond and text with people that are just like them. So there's going to be training offered to
Yeah.
kids in the urban community as well, which I feel as though is a great thing.
Yeah, and I think what's really key about all of that is that we're not just, our hope is to not just enter and say, here's the work, right? Here's some skills for you. We hope they will receive them and want to apply them for themselves, but also take them back out in their community. They have already, every teen can help another teen, right? So it's about giving them the skills to be able to go do that. So whether it's Hey Sam or just taking some of the skills we talk about being a good listener, about asking really great questions, about knowing who your resources are, if they can take that back out in the community, the other people in the community will receive it from them more than they would from me, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
All from me.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I feel as though this is a great thing. It's a powerful thing, a great message, a great learning experience, and a great opportunity. So again, it's the My Brother's Keeper workshop at Nubian Square, the Roxbury Library, on February 27th from 4:30 to 7:30. And we hope that young men between the age of 13 to 19 can come out. If anybody has an organization and you're working with young men, I encourage you to bring them out to this event. You know, and it's going to be a great thing, and it's something for the community because we're for the uplifting of our community, inspiring our community, and protecting our community. And so, Steve, I'm going to switch back to you
Yeah.
real quick, and we're going to talk about how long have you been working for
Yeah.
Samaritans, and how long you've been doing the work you've been doing as well.
So I've been at Samaritans just 1 year, but I've been in education for over 20. So I was working in schools, everything from a kindergarten teacher to a high school teacher to taught college. So I worked with young people a lot over my career. I've been connected to Samaritans longer than a year because in March it'll be 13 years ago. I had a loss to suicide, and I actually turned to Samaritans and joined their safe place groups, and the safe place groups are there for those that are grieving from a loss. And so I attended some safe place groups way back in 2009 for almost a year. And so that work that Samaritans had there, or that work I did with Samaritans around my grief, really helped to give me a foundation to keep growing and healing. That led me down this path of really getting focused in suicide prevention work. And so I went back to school and got did some work around understanding psychology and mental health and suicide. And so years later, I was able to return to Samaritans in this role of director of education.
Nice.
So yeah.
Right. That's nice. Any parting words, Kacy? Because we're going to wrap the show up in a minute.
Yeah, I think just to say that, this program, we hope, the My Brother's Keeper program, that the workshop that you guys are going to engage in is actually the foundation for many more going forward, right? This idea of the way in which we've collaborated, the way in which we've incorporated voices, and I think I'm really excited to hear the youth feedback too, right? What was good about it? What would they change? What do they want going forward? And so I think it's just, certainly when you said it's an honor to have us, the honor is ours. I mean, to have been able to met you, work with you, learn from you, it's just been such an incredible experience. And it's changing the way that we're functioning in the organization. And so it's just a very exciting time, and it's an honor to be here. So.
Yep. So once again, I thank both of y'all for taking time out your schedule to come on the show and talk and share, and for the collaboration and opportunity to do this workshop that we're about to do. The last plug, once again, it's My Brother's Keeper workshop, February 27th at the Roxbury Library in Nubian Square, 4:30 to 7:30. So come on out. This is Follow Suit Fashion Unfiltered. Stay tuned. We're on the rise. Thank y'all.